Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be looking at the quadratic formula and how to use it to solve quadratic equations. So, the first example we're going to be looking at is 6x squared plus 7x minus 1 equals 2. Now, before we get started doing anything, I have to remember to set it equal to 0. It's extremely important, otherwise you're going to get an entirely wrong answer. So, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, which is going to leave me a 0 on the right side. And my left side, the 6x squared is going to come down. The 7x is going to come down. And negative 1 minus 2 is going to leave me minus 3. So now I'm ready to use my quadratic formula. So first off, I have to remember that a quadratic equation is written as ax squared plus bx plus c. And I'm going to use that to identify my parts of the equation. So my a value, first and foremost, my a value is always going to be with the variable that is squared. So in this case, my a value is 6. My b value in this problem is 7. And my c value is going to be negative 3. Alright, so now we're going to look over to the right at the quadratic formula. And we're going to learn how to properly write these variables into place. So, here we go. I'm going to start out by opening a big parenthesis around everything up top in my numerator. So, open parenthesis, negative b, and my b value is 7, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which again, my b is 7, so 7 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 6, times c, which is negative 3. And all of that is going to be underneath my radical. And since I'm done with my numerator, I'm going to close it off with another large parenthesis. I'm then going to take that and divide it all by 2a, and my a value, again, is going to be 6. So, we're using the quadratic formula to solve this quadratic equation. Alright, now a couple very important things we have to notice. One, every time I write a variable or a number in place of that variable, I want to put it in parentheses. So you see my negative b, my b is in parentheses, b squared, b is in parentheses, minus 4ac, a and c are each in parentheses, and then my 2a at the bottom, my a is in parentheses. Alright? I also want to put two big parentheses in the denominator so that the calculator knows to do the top and then do the bottom before it divides. Alright? Now we're going to look at this sign right here. Plus or minus. Alright, so I need to write this same equation 2 times, except one time, or the first time, I'm going to use plus. So open parenthesis, negative 7 plus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 3. Close parenthesis outside, divided by, or all over, open parenthesis, 2 times 6, close, close. The second time I write it, I'm going to write the exact same thing, except I'm going to use my minus sign. So open parenthesis, negative 7, minus the square root of 7 squared, minus 4 times 6 times negative 3, close off the top, all over, open parenthesis, 2 times 6, close, close. Now that I have it written both possible ways, I'm going to use my calculator to help me determine the two answers that I should come up with. So we're going to start with our orange, the addition problem. I'm going to open parenthesis, negative, open parenthesis 7, plus the square root of 7 squared, and I'm going to close that parenthesis before I square it, 7 squared, make sure to click out of the exponent, minus 4 times 6 times negative 3, close. And see how that arrow is flashing on your calculator? I'm going to go ahead and arrow out to the right. Now I'm outside of it, and I'm going to close off my large parenthesis. All over, so divided by, open parenthesis 2, open parenthesis 6, close, close. Now when I press enter, my calculator gives me 0.3333, and I can go math, fraction, enter, and that tells me 1/3. So I know the answer to the orange problem is going to be 1/3, so let's come on back over. And all of these are x, so x equals a positive 1/3. But now I have to do the blue problem. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. All right. Now I can type it all back in by hand and change it to a minus sign, or if I press second enter, it pulls up the last thing that I typed in. If I do second enter again, it pulls up the entire equation I typed in beforehand. Now, to avoid making any kind of mistakes, I can simply arrow back to the plus sign, and instead of plus, I'm simply just going to hover over it, and I'm going to change it to minus. Now let's see if I went too far back. So I'm going to go back to where it said plus. I'm going to type minus, and then when I press enter, it'll give me my other answer, which is negative 1.5, and I can change it to a fraction again if I wanted to, and that's a negative 3/2. So when I come back over, I know the answer to my blue problem is x equals negative 1.5 or negative 3/2. And that's all you have to do to use the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations.